Hi, and welcome to CSE 260, Lab 3. I've got some new software here, so we'll have to see how this works out. But, all right. So, if you're with us this far, Lab 3 will enforce what we did in Lab 2. So there is a lot of math in here to make sure that you understand testing and you understand integer division. So we have a lot of computations at the end here to make sure that you really have understood that, because you're going to use it this semester. If you're having issues with review Lab 2, or come see me. You'll also notice at the end here we're going to be using decimal format for formatting. You can use whichever one you want, but you will be expected to have formatted output or you will lose points. All right, so what's new in this lab? Well, the main thing is getting user input. That's the main focus of this lab. And that is software engineering. A sub part of that is human-computer interaction. And that is an elective that you can take later, taught by Dr. Caparuso, and much more than this, because much user interaction in apps is through hitting buttons, it's through interacting with something physical. But at the beginning, and still quite often, a user is actually typing in a command. And so what you're going to look at here is how a user can interact with the program to be able to make it more flexible. So if you, assignment 1, you hard your name in and your age. Read those in as an intro here of how to use user input and review what happens. So the main item we use here is a scanner. And a scanner is unique, that word is unique to Java. And object, and you know it's an object because it has new here. You're going to import it. So you're going to import java.util.scanner. Okay, now you can do java.util.star, and that'll just bring everything, but we're just going to use the scanner here. The scanner is tied to some kind of file system that contains data. It could be a physical file. Here it's actually linked to your keyboard. And so the Java bytecode goes to the machine, and the Java virtual machine actually converts that bytecode into code that's understood by the hardware you're using to redirect input from the keyboard to your program. So a lot's going on underneath here, so it's really nice that you don't have to worry about any of that. So if you're going to want to read the keyboard, the first thing you have to do is define a scanner object, and do that. And then you have that output. So if you want to read from the keyboard, it's called system.in. And you'll notice those are highlighted. This purple in here, that this is this means something. You can go in and look what that means. It's your standard input stream, and it's already open and ready for you to take what the user types in. The two others that are system.out, which prints to the screen, and ERR, which you will see when you work with exceptions. It allows you to gather just the errors separate from usual user input or output. So now, the main parts of this is you need to prompt the user, and then the user types in a value. So the part with software engineering and human-computer interaction that you need to worry about is that prompt has to be clear, neat, and it has to be intuitive, that the user sees it and it's somewhat elegant. Now, you may not think command line is elegant, but if you are moving on into data science or doing any kind of computation, you will do a lot at command line, generating reams of data that you are then going to use. So there are also, if you're going to be working with other computer scientists, a lot of stuff is at the command line because it's simply quicker for people to get stuff done on a command line than popping through a bunch of buttons. So a prompt, an example of a prompt, it starts with system.in.print, and then we're going to do what is your name. Now, I want to point out that are going to be important is we're using print, not printf. And there is a blank after the prompt statement. All right, there's a blank space. This is done because it looks better to most humans. It may not be you, but it looks better to most humans. And another thing for a programmer, computer scientist, software developer is the loss of ego, right? What you like isn't as important as what most people like or the customer or whoever you're. And then what you can do is you can just do strict define string. Remember, you always have give the type reading in, and then all you have to do is do input.next. Input.next gives you takes the next set of input into a blank or a new line. It's called white space. The computer will take name, and that's all you have to do. So now let's type out hello, and then your name. Okay, and we'll do that as a print line because we would like a new line after that space. So I've just concatenated these two strings together with a plus. Now let's compile this and run it. So my name is Maureen. Right, so that was part of homework 1. I didn't have to hard code my name. Any of you could run it and get hello with your name. So this allows computer programs to be used with different data. Wonderful feature, right? All right, so now we've read in a string, but what if you wanted to read in an integer or a double? Well, this is beautiful. So let's do string age. Oh, what's an age? An age is an in, all right? Age equals dot. Now look at here. This is going to bring up all your options. So we want next in. Okay? So what that's going to do is whatever the user types in is going to convert it to all those bits converted to an integer and put into age. So let's run this. Let's type in my name. Nothing's happening. Oh my goodness. So actually I did this on a previous video and I thought it was great for you to see. Type in my age. This is not my age. I'll type that in later. So what happened is your scanner is waiting for input here. I didn't give it a prompt. Okay, so it just sits there and waits to type something in to interpret as an integer. So I kept hitting new line. It knows that's white space. It just skips it until I type in. So if you end up running your program and seeing things just sitting there, it's probably because it's waiting for input. It just waits. So let's do a system.out.print. What is your age? And again, notice I've used print, not print line, and a space after it. And you are, I just told you know. Okay. So, and here I've just concatenated with the plus sign, the strings. Notice I've put blanks in here so that it reads well, and then the age, to print out the age. So let's see if this works a little bit better. Maureen, I'm actually 60. Hello, Maureen, you're 60 years old. That looks neat. What I get a lot of times is letters smushed together. I get new lines. You will lose points for all of that. When you're doing the final printout here, I'm not as anal about that, but these I am, okay? Because the user has to give you the input you need to run the program. So it's important. So let's look what happens if I do a print line here to the output, okay? And I missed that new line there. Let's look at what that looks like. Now look at this. This looks nice. It looks beautiful. So let's look at this one. Oops. Let's call this, okay. My goodness, it's on the, what's your age? 122. All right, now look at that we had earlier up here. Oh, it's not there anymore. All right, so you have Kara. This just looks horrible from a user endpoint. And I know you're new, and I know you're learning this, but this is just about detail. And part of being a software developer is paying attention to detail. So you want to make sure you use print and you put a space. All right, so that's it for the scanner. Oh,